when it comes to like gun violence, they won't, when they give the whatever happened with gun violence, they won't point out the fact that relative to gun violence throughout the world, this is an incredibly diminished time period for that. They won't point that out. They won't say, "Oh, this seems to be."
Yeah, they don't offer any perspective whatsoever on this situation.
It's never an outlier. It's always some implication that in like a year or so, if we don't do something fast, we're going to be living in Mad Max with people marauding through the streets, dragging babies out of baby carriages and using their butts as holsters for their unlicensed weapons. That's the message that you get. And then you're like, my God, we got to stop this. We've got to stop it. No one's going to use my baby as a holster.
You got to work that into an act sometime. That's pretty good. I mean, that's coming from the gun perspective, like I do, because that's what I'm involved in. It's just, man, it's just frustrating when you see that they don't put any of that stuff in perspective when they tell some story about guns. Another thing that drives me crazy is because of the manipulation of like the human psyche. They make people think somehow that, unless you just know that somehow gun violence is worse than just regular violence. That's one thing that I've never understood. Like, why is it so much worse to get shot versus to get beat to death or stabbed or raped? Like, I don't understand. Like, why is gun violence even a term that's used in that sense? It doesn't even make
violence.
Sense. Yeah, it's violence. Yeah, exactly. In countries where gun restrictions are a lot more strict and regulated, there's still violence. It's just maybe not with guns. Like, honestly, I'd rather get shot than stabbed, probably. I mean, I don't know.
I think there's something I know. No, you'll never hear a reporter say that.
You'll
never hear a reporter after talking about some kind of awful, stupid thing that happened with a gun. You'll never hear the reporter saying, man, that guy's going to survive. But if the assailant had been using a samurai sword, he would be... he'd just be ribbons of red flesh and entrails. Anyway, I love what you're saying. It's violence, and I think that there's something comforting to think that we have these evil totems, which are guns, and that these are the evil generators. Like, these are these dark little idols, like in that famous Brady Bunch where they find that Hawaiian idol that like makes tarantulas fall.
I think I remember that. Yeah.
It's like we love to believe that these things are like these emanators of sin or darkness, because it's way more comforting to think that than to think that, you know what? Sometimes people just go crazy.
Yeah.
And when they do it, they do awful things for no reason.
Yeah. And
nobody wants to think that. You want to think like, oh, it's the guns that are evil. Oh, yeah, those guns. Once we get rid of the guns, man, the unicorns are going to come back.
Yep.
We're going to all be dancing in rainbows. You can't drop everything into the category of drugs. It's a deeper issue than people getting blasted on whatever thing it is. It's the issue is human autonomy and the idea that human beings are not victims of objects. And I think that this issue goes into the gun control issue too, which is that here we've demonized by saying, to get rid of all guns. Get rid of all drugs. Here's what you're saying. What you're saying is, because there is a percentage of humans on this planet, and I think it is a very small percentage, there's a percentage of humans on this planet who do not have normal levels of self-control, who do not have what I would consider to be...
and
they weren't raised by a Southern dad. They didn't learn about how to how to handle a gun or what a gun is. Or
and that's what it comes down to a lot of times when it comes to drugs, guns, whatever it is, any kind of rights, sexual rights, whatever it is. It's exposure. We're afraid of things naturally that we don't have exposure to, and like we talked about earlier about not doing research.
First of all, people who are terrified of guns, man, you need to look up a video there's this video on the internet you need to look up right now.
Yeah.
Which is I don't, is it some Japanese politician getting assassinated with a samurai sword? Have you seen that?
No, I haven't.
Oh my God. This guy is just standing there.
Jesus.
And this guy got a samurai sword in whatever meeting he's at or the speech he's giving.
Yeah.
And just comes running at him full force with a samurai sword extended and just slams into him, impaling him on this samurai sword. Of course, killing him. This massive swords. These are razor blades. These are gigantic razor blades. And I think that if right now, and I could be, and I know this is a very controversial thing to say, because I know it kind of mimics or it's a cliche thing to say, but I believe that if I pressed a button, if I had some kind of magical button, and I pressed it, and every gun on Earth vanished. Every gun on Earth just evaporated suddenly. If you think that wild levels of random violence will suddenly stop, like the same like lunatic who thinks he's got a like multi-eyeballed parrot on his shoulder telling him to go and kill Giffords, if you think that parrot isn't going to be like, well, the guns are gone, but we've got swords.
Yeah.
We still got swords, baby. If you think the parrot's not going to tell him to use swords, come on. It's not, the issue is not the implement of violence being chosen by lunatics.